Hello guys, and monthly is going to be first. You voted. This doesn't mean that twin flames are not coming up. They are coming up very next week. So let's kind of go with general messages, and actually from what I see, there will be twin flames over here as well. First of all, my promotion, speed up promotion, is still on. I'm struggling to catch up, especially this weekend. I was like lying down in bed and relaxing and more or less recovering from a kind of like stomach bug kind of thing, but it is still on. So that means within 7 days you get it now instead of 3 weeks if you order regular. If you order a rush, you get it within 3 days, and if you order urgent, 24 hours. And that's it. Let's start with this. It was interesting. I was shuffling cards and I was thinking which kind of card decks do I kind of like pick. These are general messages for all the signs for this kind of like transition of Leo. So this is basically almost until the end of August. And very similar messages I'm getting here round and around. There's like this Nautilus, right? Fibonacci, if you really wish. And then from this deck, I got the Burden. Look at that. It's kind of like interesting card. Actually, probably I should put this on autofocus so you can see it better. Look at that. It's saddled with a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, you need to do that. And even the rooster on top of the head. So just kind of like being bombarded with things that maybe we shouldn't be doing. So 6. And then another 6. It's talking about a time passage, and this makes so much sense. We are entering Mercury retrograde, and of course it's going to be some kind of possibly memory lane. It might be somebody showing up. And then we have, this is law of attraction. The law of attraction, there is like this universal feeling of belonging. So 3 6s are not the devil's sign. 3 6s are twin flames, soulmates. Something will be really cutting through over here. Now, this is also a very interesting card. It's like talking about, there is like that spiral in there, and it's the quality of events when a lesson, it's not really quite integrated. Cycles that we kind of like really are challenged to break. We need to revisit a pattern from a new perspective. So when we get this card, it's kind of like a reminder that although maybe sometimes it appears that we are going backward, it's, oh my gosh, I'm never going to catch up with these bills or stuff like that. The truth is that you are now standing at a higher ground. You know how we've been through elementary school, we kind of like learn certain things in biology, history, right, whatever. Then you get to high school, you're learning the same thing, but much more. You're seeing it from a different kind of like perspective. So this is kind of like telling me that we will be looking at our circumstances and learn something. And we now, with this Mercury retrograde, will be pulling something from the past, something that maybe burdened us, something that kind of like the time is up, sort of a thing, right? If it is a twin flame, then we need to really look at it and say, hey, wait a minute, this is all awesome, but it doesn't work for my life, or it does work in my life, and I will continue with that, right? So no more how did I get here again kind of a thing, right? It's, if this is like something that sounds familiar to you in your dynamics with others, it really kind of like maybe you're realizing that you're repeating an old story with the same sort of a person. What I say, maybe they're attracted to you because of kind of like your easy acquaintance, and you kind of like can wrap around their own qualities. But this is also kind of like telling me, meaning the person, this is kind of like typical with twin flames. Twin flame is more or less an energy not of a person but of a soul, and I think energy kind of can jump from a person to a different person. So meeting the same person in a different bodies can be the case over here. And like you're saying, oh my gosh, I feel that it's a lots of self-blame for some people. How did I get here? How do I get out? And I kind of like it, because when we get bothered with something, which obviously here we are kind of like really, really bothering, then we are actually able to change it. There's like definitely echo of the past that is happening over here. Like, and we can see it here, this passage of time. But look at this, like this shoulds and shouldn'ts. And who is imposing on you stuff? And if you're doing something and you don't really like it, or that it has no function, then why are you doing it? It's kind of like time to really do it, because you can always go faster, you can always strike harder, you can always reach the top. Hey, how about, stopping that rat race, stopping that struggle kind of a thing? Because it tells me, and that was like me over the weekend, hey, you really will not have the energy if you keep doing that, right? Chances are, like, that this kind of like issues. Hi, Sophie. See, she's leaving her little prints over here. Chances are that like maybe lots of things that you feel that you should do are really in your mind. It doesn't mean that they have to weigh you down, right? So it's really, 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 really time to lighten up over there. It's really time to kind of like really figure out what is the burden in your life. Because you know what they say, you keep repeating the same things over and over and over, you're not really going to get different results. Something will really need to change. So I really think it's going to be lots of internal work, lots of stuff that is again coming to the fore. But in a good way, because it's going to get resolved with kind of like this telling me this like law of attraction is working. It is attracting emotions, persons, situations. So thinking positive thoughts and telling yourself, you know what, I always done this. Let me kind of like try to do things kind of like differently this time around. This actually will work this time. So shifting the patterns, shifting the perceptions, not really jumping on, issues or words that people tell you, kind of like doing things differently will actually really, really be effective at this time. So let's go into individual taroscopes, and I also want to just give happy birthday to Leos and toward the end of the month Virgos. So Virgos are already kind of getting ready, and Leos are going to have an awesome time. So let's start. Hi Virgos, and welcome to your monthly. To all of you who voted, thank you so much, because I kind of like was my train of thought. Let's do the monthlies for Virgos first. Also, if you're listening to this at the end of August, happy birthday, because you're the next sign. And guess what's going to be happening when at the end of the August I start doing monthlies? Yay, you're the first sign. So Virgo, this is a general message, and I keep getting my viewers sending me these mails and saying, I can't, like, is this just for the sun sign? And I keep forgetting to mention, guys, this is a general reading, so this kind of like encompasses quite a few frequencies, if you wish, energies. So check your sun sign, check your ascendant, check your moon sign. I actually also check Venus and Mars sign, especially Mars if I'm cross-watching for somebody else. So that's kind of like how you can put more puzzles together, given that this is not catered to you. And of course, you can order a reading from me for you, and then it's just yours. Let's see what's in the cards for you this month. Honeymoon. Enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. Well, if you're Virgo in North America, maybe you're going to get adventurous. Maybe it's going to be some kind of place that is going to turn into a romantic kind of like getaway. Some of you might actually have this like walking, next to the beach, walking under the moonlight. It does look like kind of like safe. Whoa. You have everything. This is going to be a wonderful month for you guys. Just make sure you're attending all the weddings, all the christenings, all the parties, because that's the sun kind of like likes to kind of have this enjoy. Especially this is more for the people in northern hemisphere, even though it is like still telling me that some kind of like vacation time will indicate also romance. So this actually is very, very lovely. So let's put this out. And the sun is such a strong card. It's a card of optimism. It's a card of positivity. It is a card of kind of like reaching out. If we suffered any losses, then it's going to be minimized to the point that we'll be able to be happy again. So with this kind of like as underlying energy, I am super, super happy to kind of like continue with this reading. So even if you have some disturbances, which, hey, hello, this is life, it's going to kind of, and this is to me also a card that spells Virgo so much. So let's lay the cards down, and of course I'll be telling you which cards I'm taking, because not everybody is familiar with my cat cards yet. Don't pay attention so much on what is the name of the card. Pay more attention to what you see, because tarot kind of like has more layers. So I got the new cards finally working. So we are working with this one. So we are going to put that honeymoon and that sun over here to be in a perspective, and let's see, so you can get a better bird eye view over here. And there's the staple, hopefully. Karma card. I don't know, like I didn't do enough readings. You're just the second sign I'm doing, but it looks like will be some resolution happening this month in many kind of like ways. Okay. So, past. You guys, some of you had issues with understanding what love is. What is love? And the thing is like that we are trained in the media. Oh, love is so passionate. Oh, somebody has to go on your knee. Somebody, like has to make this big deal about a proposal. You have this like bridezillas and relationship zillas and stuff. Like everything is like extreme. That's called marketing. Love is gentle, love is kind, but if you go with that, people would not make money on television. And codependency is like one of those things that we think this must be that way. And look, the others are getting, how come I'm not getting? So we are all sucked and kind of like believing that kind of like you have to strive kind of like to do that. And then you find somebody, you have like this whirlwind romance because the dude is all screwed up, right? And we just like hooked into that because they just broke off with someone, and they show up and now they're healing their own whatever issues, and they're super nice to you. This is not a reflection of relationship with you, it's just reflection. They're all confused, and of course the moment when they stabilize, they show their real self, it's like, what happened? So codependency can talk about these kind of situations, and it kind of like told me that maybe you had this tendency of falling for that type of like people who kind of like made you wonder. And it kind of like was a lesson that you did not fully learn. You see, you have the Ace of Cups, you have the Hanged Man reversed, and you have a Four of Wands. So good news, bad news. Bad news is that this was happening. And by the way, you guys might be interested in my karma readings. It kind of like really tells you which obstacles you need to overcome, what you wrote for yourself in this chart. So this is kind of like one of those things that I think is kind of like general karma for most of us, that one way or the other, either drugs or alcohol or workaholics or, like not sort of like creating this kind of like balance in life has to be dealt with in this life, right? I mean, that was like in every century if you really think about it, but right now for us is more or less done on emotional level. Will we continuously crave things. We are like sort of like turned into that Pavlov dog. You know, that experience was like this psychologist named Pavlov, and what he was doing, he would feed the dogs, and each time he would give them the food, he would ring the bell. So the dogs would just like run to get this coffee, and of course the mouth would start to salivate, pardon me. And of course, like, this is what happens when you're actually having the food in your mouth, right? So he kept on going and going until he started to ring the bell, and the reflection for food was there, even the food was not there, just on the sound of the bell. So there is like this connection that kind of happened, and to some extent I see that in these kind of like cards that you have linked to, kind of like you have false expectations to some extent, and you have to really shed it, because some sacrifice is needed. And I really feel when the Hangman came reversed, that sacrifice really means kind of like ripping this whole old fabric and kind of like restarting it, rebooting it, because this kind of like talks about going in a new direction, kind of like enjoying like that next level. And it has to be dealt with the issues from the past. Not that you cannot meet somebody, you can, but it can be a very unhealthy thing. And the healing definitely is, this is really calling for healing and kind of like realizing, wait a minute, this is somebody ringing the bell. I'm talking about the ringing the bell. You see this bell here? Just please subscribe. Just kidding. But this was in the past. I think you're reaching the realization that needs to happen, because here you are having this karma card, right? As I said, like when I saw the sun, this is like 19, 1 and 0, 1 and 9 is 10. Here is the 10, and here is the 1, like past, present, future. It is like all repeating over here. It's combining with religious factors, and I'm not reading some of them, and this is one of them. It's just crazy. This to me can be a card of a marriage. It can be a card of institutions. It can be about, you know, some big groups of people, or sort of like, again, those old attitudes that we have kind of ingrained in ourselves, which sometimes are core attitudes. Some of those core attitudes are not helpful to you, and some of those core attitudes are really helpful to you. So I think you are going to make this differentiation from what did work, what didn't work, how much to the detail you have to go down to, and how much you don't have to, right? This is meaning that big changes are happening. You will be going through maybe some planning in which direction you want to take, you know, what kind of things you want to overcome. It's kind of interesting card, because here you have like Wheel of Fortune, and here you have 2 of Wands. And look, what is like behind him? He's leaving some kind of like emotional things behind him, right? But he's really thinking through how to generate his next future. You see, these 2 cards together again are adding up to 12 to this card. So you're actually realizing that something has to go. Certain things you need to sacrifice, you know, for your own happiness. And then you're going to be starting moving forward. Maybe slowly, maybe one day at a time, maybe testing waters. But you're going to have nice, clearly defined rules and direction in which you are kind of heading. So let's see what is in the core of this reading. So playfulness, and then 2 of Pentacles. This kind of is a card about juggling things, right? Sometimes it's really a card talks about life to me. Sometimes like one day is up, one day is down. But let me just see clarification. I really thought, and I'm right, and again, this is the card that describes you, that this is really talking about giving yourself a pleasure in a situation. But be careful, because this is also warning me that maybe somebody's losing enthusiasm in you, or you're losing enthusiasm in someone else, because this is really telling me that it can actually go back to this codependency. Because you see, if these two cards were upright, then it will tell me, hey, you are kind of forging forward, understanding that you really want to kind of like do these things for yourself. But here there's like still something, maybe you're involving yourself in a situation that is unresolved, that kind of like has maybe ups and downs. Or maybe you're just getting to the point of saying, this just doesn't work for me, and I'm not feeling comfortable in this situation. Maybe you're staying in a situation because you're afraid of being alone, and that could be one of those sacrifices that you probably will be doing. You know, that line in the sand, what do I do? And this card to me isn't this like, just like this Nine of Pentacles, sitting in the garden, smelling the roses, smelling the grapes. And by the way, cats do not eat grapes. That's not good for them, so I don't know why they kind of like drawn it. But you see, here we have this card with this turning around, this understanding, hey, you know what about me, what makes me happy? See, she's wearing this green dress, the heart chakra really working, really kind of like emphasizing over here. You need to kind of like cut off things from the past, because look, we have these two cards of victory, and so is the Queen of Swords. She's like the ultimate victor of all times. But as you can see in this deck, we have Six of Wands, Queen of Swords, and Five of Swords. Your energy is really going much higher. You are ready for somebody or something new. Just do not make it a competition. Don't feel that you have to win somebody over. There's still the healing needs to take place. Like still there is like kind of like a need for some kind of like equilibrium, so some kind of balance. Make sure that when you see red flags, you cut them. See, she did lay down her sword. See, it's all the butterflies on it, which means using force or harshness is optional. It's not something that she's using or she did use recently, but it is there. I really feel that this win is actually winning against yourself, understanding that certain things were unhealthy, or certain things that happened to you, you know, sometimes like we feel, oh gosh, you know, like they are with somebody else, or they moved on, or they dumped us, or I didn't move on, I'm stuck, I'm not looking great, I'm not perfect. We kind of like send ourselves all this negativity, which is also the part of that codependency that you need to resolve. But this is really telling me that you have to figure out your position in all of it, and kind of like realize that certain things are just not doable. You can put 1,000,000% of effort in it, and they're still going to have the same result. Because look at this kitty, it's completely enmeshed in their own thinking. Hey, you know, I'm so important, look at this, I won. But in the game of love, if you have losers, then you don't have winners, because it's just like simply how it works. So just the fact that you have lost or the fact that you have won, it kind of like denies this entire relationship. And it's basically again saying this is about, you know, skin deep. This is not about real values. This is not about who you truly need to be. It sounds to me that, you know, yes, as I was saying, there is some kind of discomfort about really how you look, who you are. Maybe your creative abilities are affected. Maybe somebody like, I mean, that you still want is the person who you link that with. So if you're doing that like kind of like outside of your body, if you're not finding, hey, you know what, I have this and this and this to offer, and of course doesn't mean you can just become the biggest slob. Living healthily is the key over here, but living healthily also means understanding yourself, right? So this is kind of like that motherly and creative force over here that seems to be kind of like zapped, and maybe somebody really did a number on you, how you feel about yourself, how you look, how you feel about what you can offer, that kind of things. But talking about that, look at this, you have 3 major arcanas. Holy smoke, I'm actually having goosebumps. So it says calling in your soulmate, which the Lover's card is sort of like making a decision. you guys need to do some clearances, because this is the judgment. You need to kind of clear certain things from the past. And this is kind of like a very loud message. Again, is the healing. There is like something from the energy that I'm getting. It's something from the past needs to be addressed. Something from the past needs to be taken out. And even if you think, well, there's nothing in my past, trust me. Like, sometimes when you kind of like go in this past life regression with people, you sometimes like have and find people who have their life, who even have like sort of like a charm life, but who kind of like have this like dread over them. So it was this one case of this person who came to past life regression, who basically, didn't know how to get rid of like some kind of like expectation that somebody's there to get him. So in regression, it went down to basically the embryonic stage when he was still kind of in the uterus, and the cord was twisting around his neck. And that's where this kind of like whole feeling was born. And that's what I'm saying. Something, maybe the beginning of the problem was not what you are declaring as a problem. So just keep that in mind. And you are a very analytical sign. You probably can figure it out. So, and I think you will. And I think it could even talk about you making some kind of wrong decisions. Maybe you're experiencing guilt that something that you did somehow affected you. Kind of like look into that. So here, this is kind of like imminently something that will be happening. So you are actually resolving, you're working some karmic stuff, you are releasing it, you are saying, here, I could have done and handled this better, I could have do this like differently. And there is like somebody waltzing into your life. Like you have Leo, you have Aries, and you have Taurus, Libra, and Capricorn. Kind of like really, really strongly coming through for you. So if you don't have any of these signs, this is clearly going to be somebody who is very action oriented, somebody who is, hey, let's do this stuff. And it's kind of like a really good person to deal with. And then you have like a 6 of Pentacles, and I think this is linking to me to codependency, because this is now the second 6 that I'm seeing. And this is really telling me kind of like play is for everybody. You also had a playtime over there. I think you had another 6 night, and you had a playtime there, right? Which this one is like somebody, it's again kind of like having it a little bit of a winning energy. But here's like more or less saying, look, you have to know how much to give, you have to know how much to take. And if somebody really wants to do that, sure, you can be swept off the feet and do lots of things. But that's sort of like a major mistake that most of us make. We start dating and we are kind of like taken with that new enthusiasm, and we keep doing things that maybe we wouldn't do, which kind of what makes it exciting. But sooner or later we are going to go back to who we are, and then the problems will kind of like arise, because you never can meet that excitement anymore, and you're really not that person, right? So you see, that's really what it's telling here. You kind of like see if there is something that is sustainable here for you, because it might actually end up, if it isn't, it might just drain you from your energy, or in the end you will give a lot and end up rejecting, or worse yet, being rejected. 3 of Swords is like, exactly, you start with something with a high enthusiasm, meeting somebody, but not really realizing red flags. And red flags are not just them. Most people like, oh yeah, they did that. How about red flags that you are doing? Like, this is like harder to kind of see ourselves, because we kind of like with eyes are seeing forward, not backward. So that, I think, is going to be some heavy duty pulling this month. But I think you will do it, because you see, again, the past life relationship is kind of showing up, or some kind of deeds need some clarity. Here you had 2 of Wands, right? And here you have 3 of Wands. Here you had 4 of Wands. So this is in a 6. So, and that's why you're sort of like almost like a wand this month, not so much earth as your sign. So here is like this somebody is in your life who definitely has this karmic connection with you, who is a friend. There's a relationship, it's a friendship, partnership, you might be working with this person, but it's kind of like really interesting. You kind of like feel close to this person. You see this have a Four of Cups and Hierophant, but you also feel repulsed. This person could be also married, and maybe that's what it is, that this is kind of like a push and pull in you. There is like a part of you attracted to the person, another part is like, well, I don't know if I want to do it. But now it's kind of like really interesting that we have the Hierophant, because you also had religious factors, which is telling me that you are establishing these new rules, what can go, what cannot go, and that's going to be really prominent in this particular month. So this is like what is coming on the outside. You deserve love, you deserve that stabilization, you deserve this kind of control of your life. And it's kind of interesting that fallen over the Wheel of Fortune, the karma. So there is the karma going in a new direction. Look, it's really going forward. And it also might be Sagittarius. It might be something that is really, really happening. You have like enormous amount of things that you need to clear. So it's kind of even weird to go with signs. You pretty much almost have everything, right? So this on the outside, it could mean that somebody did let you down, because we have this Three of Swords after all, and now in combination with Ten of Swords, it's telling me that some of you have been going through the process of trying to find yourself and trying to stabilize yourself, and trying to kind of like create this kind of new space for yourself. And the worst is over. And it has been kind of like past hurts, there have been past things going back and forth. But right now, again, there are issues that are clearing, and you deserve love, and there will be options, not just one person who loves you. You'll probably be able to really, really choose, but there will be also different kinds of love. The love toward, like love with a friend, the love with family, right? Love toward work, love toward the finer things in life. It's going to be a whole bunch of things. However, I really feel that given that you clear the issues, that you cut the crap that has been carried on, it looks like even longer than just like this lifetime, there it is, the Fool, the new beginning. This could be the one. It says you have already met the romantic partner you seek, so you are already be getting a flavor of this person. Maybe this person physically materialized, but you kind of like were maybe getting visions or getting understanding what's going to be new in this person, and it's clearly calling in your soulmate. You guys literally have vibration this month that you can sit and visualize, and this could be somebody from the past. It keeps coming that way because it might be from the past lives. You will recognize this person differently than anything else. So you cannot meet this person until you clear certain issues, because the Fool means a new beginning and the release of the problems. Well, it could be a Taurus, could be your fellow earth sign, or it simply could be you guys, that you are realizing, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to be married. I'm ready to settle down. And there it is. It's a romantic proposal. And it could be somebody shy, or it could be somebody really, really well established that is going to feel just ripe and right. So be very careful not to overdo passion. I think that kind of like got you into trouble in the past. This is like more or less telling you that you need to kind of learn slower energy. That's why you first had the Knight of Pentacles, then you had King of Pentacles. Where it is, here it is, King of Pentacles. You also had a Hierophant, lots of earth energy, which kind of like is where you need to go. So from actions to this, so you need to kind of like balance this, because remember that was the message about kind of balance, not to push things forward too much. And this is again telling you, if you take things too fast, too far, it might get derailed. You need to kind of like slow this whole thing down. Do not go for the past relationship. It's absolutely something that it's still lingering, has to be dissolved, has to be resolved. This past life relationship is not going to be like anything you have experienced so far in this life. It's going to be a new phase, because this one also says karma result. You're going to the new phase, like you have that infinity sign over here. This usually comes with the fixed signs, and you're really getting some of these fixed signs, particularly Leo, coming through really strongly. But we're also going through the Leo season, so which means this entire August will be well forecasted. Also, the world is another sister earth sign, and it is very important to pay attention to the details of who you are and where you really want to go. I have also taken one more card to seal this reading for you, and you got this one, unexpected visitors. So let me read this for you. If you expect the unexpected, you'll be prepared for miracles, detours, surprises, and paradigm shifts. And yes, paradigm shifts, let me elaborate on that. That's probably what the wording I should use. By releasing the past, by releasing certain things that you didn't learn, that you didn't absorb, how it looks from the different people's perspective, is going to make you think differently. So it's going to be this paradigm shift where all of a sudden you're aligning things differently. So no matter how detailed your plans are and how clear you believe the road ahead to be, there are times when the best plans are waylaid by unforeseen circumstances. Well, hello, Mercury retrograde. At first, detours may seem inconvenient, but a surprise turn of events signals that the adventure of life is beginning to get interesting. No one can plan for synchronicity, for fate and destiny to meet, except spirit, who knows what you can't comprehend for now. Life is full of surprises, so stay on your toes and enjoy this exciting new adventure you weren't expecting. There is a plan for your life that might not match up with your agenda. So guys, don't buckle up. In fact, just release that control, because things are going to happen natural in your life. There is a new phase, and I can see it happening. You need to do some work, however, to get there. And that work is you know what? If somebody can tell me that from now on I'll be happy, then why I'm holding on to this stuff? And that's exactly, do you really want to be happy? The choice is yours, Virgo. So my dear Virgo, if you're still here, and I'm not kidding, just please ring this bell. And also you can order a private reading from me at kettarot.ca. And in the meantime, between the general readings, you can also visit me on Facebook, Instagram, where I post my daily tarot, so you can get your fix. Thank you so much. I love you, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from you, and your comments are always super appreciated. Love you, Virgos.